Welcome back to Desert Smoke Reviews. Justin.
Wyatt?
Today we're coming at you with the Rocky Patel The Edge in Torpedo. Coming in with a. Let me get out of the cellophane first.
Yeah, it's got a kind of a dark chocolate color. A little bit of variation in color. You get a little bit of lighter patches and a little bit of darker patches, but it looks great. I mean, it's the presentation-wise, the band. You just have this little band at the foot here, so you know, not the typical huge band there at the a little above the center of the cigar. But other than that, the cigar itself got a big stem running through mine. And the seams are definitely visible, but I don't see any real construction issues, no tears or anything. I already cut mine, and for a torpedo, I always have problems cutting torpedoes, but no problem, so that's good. Justin?
Yeah, I've also got a couple little veins that might be an issue, but we'll see how it goes. Seams are done real well. No construction issues at all. I haven't quite cut mine yet, but I will here in a minute. I've been doing the toasting before I cut just to see if I can tell any difference. It's been recommended to me, so I'm giving it a shot. Aroma-wise, excuse me, on this cigar, I get just a nice, very barnyard, very natural tobacco, probably a bit of sweetness
Especially
coming
the
in.
foot.
Yeah, nice sweet tobacco,
Mm-hmm.
nice, nice pleasant aromas. But let's get it cut up, toasted up, and see how it develops.
Oh, look. Um, Very sweet on the first puff. It's got a long-lasting finish. Um, there's a lot of factors at play, and it's mostly elements of sweet tobacco notes. Uh, there's something else there that's almost sort of like fruit sweet, sort of a tropical sweetness almost. Really, it's kind of strange, but tastes great just on the first puff. What do you get, Justin?
Well, pick up that naturally sweet tobacco, bit of earth, and kind of maybe a little bit of spice on the finish, but nothing really outstandish just yet. The sweetness I really can't identify as whether it be tropical, whether it be vanilla or anything, but we'll see how it goes as we get down through the cigar. But so far, a good start. Probably right now I'd call it a medium in body, probably same in strength, but again, it's just the first light. But let's get into the first third. See how it develops. Welcome back. We're at about 15 minutes in. Mine's a little bit of a fast burn. I'm going to tip that ash off. So far, burn hasn't been really great. A little wonky. Body's about a medium, maybe a medium to full. Strength's right in there too, about a medium as well. Flavors, I'm kind of still picking up that like just naturally semi-sweet tobacco, but kind of dying into the finish for me is a nice dark coffee. It's not really predominant, but it does go into the finish, and you can definitely tell it's there. It's a relatively long finish for me, but right before the next draw, it usually goes clean for me. So it's not super long, but it's long enough. So far, can't complain. Very decent stick.
Yeah, the Edge I've had a couple of times before, and I've really, really enjoyed a couple of them, and not really enjoyed a couple of them. And this one is very good. I'm definitely enjoying it so far. I get sort of that coffee flavor, but I get like an almond or something on the finish. There's definitely a lot of that sweetness that I picked up from the foot that's still present in the taste, especially in the finish. On the retrohale, that's where I get most of the coffee. But definitely a tasty cigar. I'm really enjoying it. the thing with these edges too is that they're all sort of different. You know, I've had a couple of them that tasted nothing like this coffee taste, and they're all, you know, very dark chocolate, and then this one tastes very different. So it's definitely interesting, and I'll be interested to see what the two of us come up with. But so far, good cigar.
Let's get into the second third and see how it develops. Welcome back. We're right around the halfway point, and first and foremost, if you hear like a whistling sound, we just turned on the propane heater. It's a little cold outside, so, but it shouldn't be too much of a, it shouldn't overtalk us. So anyway, we're about halfway. Burn's been okay, but we've had some issues with tunneling. It would start to tunnel for a minute, and the cigar would just go bitter. And then you'd catch it all up, and it'd be fine. Wyatt mentioned that, you know, take another cut, that sometimes it'll help, and we took another, I took a nice generous cut again and almost fixed it immediately. Draw opened up, haven't had any tunneling issues so far, and brings back those nice coffee flavors, nice, goes into the finish. I've kind of lost that sweetness, and what's really kind of weird is I'll get hints of like a nice spice every once in a while, but one draw will have it, the next won't. I'm kind of hoping those might develop and stick around. But right now, just getting a nice, smooth coffee, and that just dives into the finish. It's relatively simple, but I'm just getting over those tunneling issues, so that might open up and develop a little more as we get down the cigar. Still medium to full in body, and medium in strength. Nice, ample smoke. So far, decent stick.
Yeah, this was a torpedo, and as you might be able to see, I decided not to make it a torpedo. I usually do that for torpedoes. I don't really know why, but I just cut it as I normally would. But yeah, I was having some major problems for about an inch of the stick for various tunneling issues, and as Justin was saying, I'd finally get it going again, and then it would just immediately do the same thing. So I just sliced off a little bit there, and then the whole cigar really picked up. But taste-wise, I get that coffee, especially in the Retro Hill. I get almost like a pineapple sweetness on the Retro Hill, and it doesn't last very long. It's a strange taste, but it's very, very good, and they mix well. On the finish, I get sort of that almond again. But yeah, I would say this is definitely medium to full. Tastes really good. You know, other than those construction problems, I'm really enjoying it.
So let's get into the final third. See how it develops. Welcome back. We're into the final third of this Rocky Patel, the Edge. Yeah, since I made that cut that Wyatt recommended, I have not had any draw, burn, or tunneling issues. Flavors have really ramped up and become more predominant since then. That coffee's still there, still going, following through into the finish. That sweet tobacco that I got in the aroma and in the first at the first light is definitely coming in. Starting to get that nice sweet tobacco. It's not really, I don't want to say tropical, but it's not a typical sweet tobacco. It's definitely got something a little different to it. I would definitely say that. There's also a bit of nuttiness coming in. I wouldn't, you know, why it calls it almond, I can't really identify the nut. It's definitely a nice nuttiness. It's earth is built up for me. Its complexity just opened up for me after I made that cut. So that's something, if you do decide to pick these up and give them a whirl, you might, you know, if they start tunneling, just try that extra little cut. It seemed to really bring out the complexity of the cigar. Always been medium to full in body, and nice medium in strength. Particularly enjoyable. If I was going to rate it though, because I did have some construction issues burn issues with the tunneling and stuff, I'd still probably rate it around a 7.5. I think it's a good stick, and if I hadn't had any of those issues, I'd probably rate it higher. But right now, this particular stick, in this particular instant, I'd give it about 7.5.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's very interesting flavors, except for that inch or so where the cigar was tunneling just a bit. I'm having a little problem here along one of the stems. A little bit of the wrapper is sticking up, and so I think this is a good point to end it. But flavor-wise, I wouldn't necessarily say complex, but there is a lot of things just going on, especially in the finish. I got that almond throughout. There's a little bit of coffee. The retro hail, there's a lot more pronounced coffee, and there's a little bit of that. There's only for a few puffs that I really got that specific pineapple sweetness, but I thought it was there. You might not. Justin didn't, but if you did, I'd love to hear it. Scale of 1 to 10, I'd agree with the 7.5, 7.5. That seems like a good estimate. I mean, it's definitely something that I wouldn't necessarily bring to the golf course or when you're doing something, because there is a little bit of maintenance that would have to go along with it, but it's worth it for the taste. Sort of an everyday stick. It wasn't as heavy as I thought it was going to be, so I mild to medium. But other than that, good cigar. I recommend you pick this one up. Lots of different flavors. Even with the little construction issues, it's worth it.
Alright. Well, if you like our videos, give us a thumbs up, subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. But until next time, smoke them if you got them.